It's the Happy Families Podcast.
You have done something so extraordinary by deciding that 96,000 of you wanted to come and hang out and dance and sing.
Hi, I'm Michaela, and I attended Taylor Swift's Eras Tour on Saturday night, so that was Melbourne night 2, and it was just so much fun, and being there with so many other fans, it was just such a fun atmosphere to be in, and definitely a night I probably won't forget.
Well, it has been blanket coverage, wall-to-wall coverage for the last week or so for Taylor Swift. Nobody can get enough of Taylor, it seems. Everybody's talking about the concerts. Everyone's talking about the incredible, dynamic woman that she is. 34 years old and seems to be queen of the world right now. Today on the Happy Families Podcast, a little bit more Tay-Tay for you. First up, we're going to talk to a mum of daughters. She went to the show in Melbourne last week with her girls. We're going to find out how that was for her. And in the second part of the podcast, we're going to talk to an academic from the University of Melbourne, Dr. Jennifer Beckett, who has been studying the Taylor Swift effect and even hosted a symposium on the Gold Coast last week looking at the impact of Taylor Swift on society. First up, though, Karen. Karen is a mum of a few girls who went along to Melbourne last week and participated in the Taylor Swift concert. How did the girls go at the concert? Was it just meltdown mode?
Oh, it was absolutely insane. We got tickets quite late in the year, and so of course I picked them to go from Adelaide to Melbourne, and the girls were excited, but I don't think we really appreciated how incredible it was until we arrived in Melbourne.
Were the tickets lousy tickets? It sounds like you got them, like you said, fairly late. So.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to get tickets through an acquaintance. So, we had some contacts and we got some floor seating, which was just amazing, and we weren't too far away from the stage. So, we had really great seats, which was lucky. But I think that it wouldn't matter where you sat. I think that the show was just spectacular.
So describe the atmosphere. What's happening when Sabrina Carpenter finishes, the set changes are made, and Taylor Swift comes out? The lights go down and Taylor Swift comes out. What was that like? That
was pandemonium. Like, there is so much screaming and crying. It was just hysteria. These girls just love her. So the primary audience is female, and it doesn't matter the age. So you've got in front of us the little girls, probably 8 or 9. My daughters are 28, 23 and 20, and it was just incredible. So my daughter was standing next to another young girl her age. They held hands the whole concert. They sang together. They cried together. This is a girl she'd never, ever even met. So, yeah, it was just, it's like nothing I've ever been to. It was amazing.
So, Karen, prior to this concert, were you a Taylor Swift fan?
No, but I am now.
that quick. That converted you.
I am so converted. It was just, it's the whole city was alive. People dressed up, and, I've just been saying it, the empowerment, and for women to just attend an event and feel so safe, and nurtured the girls in front of us. As I said, they were only about 8 or 9 when Mum went off to the bathroom. She just left the girls there. We had already made contact and had some chatting, and it was just an unspoken, we'll look after your girls while you're gone. And it was just a feeling of safety and love, and it was just amazing. I just can't. It's indescribable almost, because it didn't matter who you were, whether you were young or old. So many of the dads were dressed up by their daughters. It was amazing. Absolutely.
It really sounds like it was the ultimate mother-daughter experience.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And in some instances, little small families. So the man behind us, the girls had got Dad to wear a king crown, and they dressed Mum up as a princess, and Dad was dancing and, you know, singing to the words. I think that, yeah, it really, truly was a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I guess what I loved the most was having, you know, raised 3 girls. You know, you could just be who you wanted to be. There was young women almost wearing like, you know, calisthenics costumes with high boots and, you know, the feathers and the glitter, and whether you're size 2 or size 22, it was just an all-in type of feeling. And the friendship bracelets, you know, given out freely, and, you know, all the exchanging of the words on the friendship bracelets. Young girls have obviously sat at home and made with words like love and inspiration, and yeah, it was amazing.
Karen, what was your favourite song at the show?
Well, my favourite song is Love Story, and it always has been the Romeo and Juliet. So I think that was the one for me. But of course, the girls, all, you know, the young ones, they all know the words to every single song.
Was there a particular song where you thought the walls are actually shaking here? Like this is the moment where it all comes crashing down. It's that big.
So I don't know all the names of them, so I'm not probably the best one to ask. But probably later on, she played some of her newer music, and the girls were just, they just all were, you know, singing, and you wear the bracelets which have the lights on them so that the stadium changes colour as people are clapping and singing along. So it was just amazing.
A global pop star who works hard, shows respect and loves her fans, tours with her mum. No drugs, no drinking, no swearing, nothing overtly sexual. What's not to love about Taylor Swift? It sounds like you're completely converted, Karen.
I am completely converted, and that's what the girls see in her. They see acceptance, they see love, they see hard work. She's an amazing role model, and unfortunately there's very few.
I feel like I have I haven't even seen the show, but I feel like I have this incredible brand new crush on this musical artist that my daughters love, and I feel like I'm becoming converted just with the wall-to-wall coverage. It's been amazing.
It would be wonderful for you to be able to take your girls, but, you know, tickets are as rare as hen's teeth. So.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for rubbing that in, Karen. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Really appreciate you chatting with us, Karen. Up next, we're going to have a chat with Dr. Jennifer Beckett. Jennifer Beckett is an academic who has been studying the Taylor Swift effect from a scholarly perspective and how Taylor Swift is affecting our entire world. We're going to find out about the archaeological evidence Taylor Swift's concerts are going to leave behind, as well as the financial impact of Tay-Tay and her tour. Dr. Jennifer Beckett is a lecturer in media and communications at the University of Melbourne. And last week, Jennifer, did 2 things that were very big. First of all, she went and saw Taylor Swift live in concert at the MCG. More on that in a sec. But Dr. Beckett also convened an academic conference on the impact of Taylor Swift on our society. Dr. Beckett, thank you so much for being with us on the podcast. First off, tell me about Taylor Swift on Friday night, and was it? Can you be gentle to everyone like me who wish that they could have been there but weren't able to be? Was it everything you hoped that it would be?
It was incredible. It was absolutely amazing. I've been to a lot of gigs in my lifetime, a lot of bucket list gigs. One of the few people to see Nirvana live in Australia, but my God, that was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hearing you say that, so, I mean, we've had wall-to-wall coverage of Taylor Swift for the last week or thereabouts now, probably a bit more than that. My daughters were so keen to go. They spent so much time trying to get tickets, couldn't get them. We've looked at all kinds of options, but I wasn't really that disappointed. The amount of money, especially to travel down from Queensland, and the time and the effort and the hassle, and I'm not a huge Taylor Swift fan personally, and I feel like I'm missing out. Like I want these tickets as bad as anything because everyone's saying it was so good. From an academic point of view, and I don't want to lose our listeners by talking academic geeky stuff too much, but what is the research telling us about the Taylor Swift effect? Who is affected by her and how? Are other middle-aged men, fathers of teenage girls, also struggling with what's going on right now and the massive FOMO around it?
I think that's a really interesting question. We had a conference, we had 60 different disciplines. So in an academic setting, it means like basically everything that you could study at a university was represented at this conference. So we had papers from medicine, we had papers from like public transport and design, and it was incredible. So there's not really any area that she's not touching on at the moment. One of the papers at the conference was an archaeological paper, and it literally talked about how there is going to be like an archaeological layer of the Eras tour.
So, I thought you were going to tell me that there were hieroglyphs predicting and prophesying.
No. That's the ultimate Taylor Swift Easter egg.
Yeah. So how is there going to be an archaeological layer of Taylor Swift?
All the garbage left behind.
Get out of here.
It's going to be like, it's all the friendship bracelets, it's all the merch that's been left behind. It's all, there will be an like if you go to the Colosseum in Rome, when they were digging through, they were finding like the layers from the gladiator matches of like all the peanut shells and everything. There will be an Eras Tour archaeological layer of just where she's been.
What does that mean in a practical sense? Like, what is Taylor Swift doing to our economy? What is Taylor Swift doing to our public transport, for example? Can you give a couple of concrete examples?
In Melbourne alone, she's brought in over $1 billion into the state. That's people travelling to the state, accommodation, trams, Ubers, all of that all over. That is fully 1/3 of what Victoria usually brings in major events in a year. So it's around 3.3 billion usually. She's accounted for 1/3, and it's only middle of February.
So does that mean that if we have another interest rate hike, it's Taylor's fault?
No. But she has had massive effects on the economy all over the world. I mean, we've had state leaders begging for her to go to their countries to boost the economy. So I think in the US, she put something like $5.6 billion in.
Wow.
Just in general. And that's really in like money in travel, in accommodation, but also for a lot of like smaller traders in towns. So Etsy stalls selling out of beads or friendship bracelets that were being made. We're talking about restaurants being booked out, hotels being booked out. And, if she was to wear like a piece of fashion from an small Australian designer, that would sell out. So the effect of Taylor Swift is amazing. And like, if you think about the incredible effect that her fans have had on the NFL in the US,
right?
Record viewership, particularly among young women. So much so that the NFL just like completely lent into the Taylor Swift effect, particularly the Kansas City Chiefs. Like most of their players were introduced when they were going into the Super Bowl using Taylor Swift albums. So I think it's just so it's one of these like things where she's just touching on so many pies. She's like right at the heart of the like cultural zeitgeist at the moment. I mean, you could ask another question, which is like, are we going to get sick of Taylor Swift?
I don't think so. Not at the moment. I mean, she's just in this sweet spot, isn't she? Are there any controversies that academics are arguing about when it comes to Taylor Swift?
Well, some of the things that we argue, or we don't just argue about, but that we raise are issues around, how she builds that empire. She's a billionaire now, and she does that off the backs of the amount of money that fans will spend. She's an incredibly talented artist, but, you have to kind of think about what's being spent here and how she builds that relationship with fans to make it so that they feel like if they don't get that variant of an album, they've missed out. The other things that people are talking about were like, well, what about climate emissions? She's flying everywhere in her private jet. And also just thinking about things like, well, sometimes her fans behave very badly online because they're defending Taylor to her detractors, whether or not she's asked them to. But if she's built such a strong relationship with them over time and done it on purpose, does she have a responsibility to call them out and tell them this is not how fans behave?
Yeah, Taylor Swift for president of not just the United States, maybe the world, the way she's going. Is Taylor Swift the biggest pop star that the planet's ever seen? I know that you're not a music historian, but when I compare what she's doing now to the Beatles and Elvis and the Rolling Stones and Madonna and Michael Jackson, they've held all those kinds of King of Pop, Prince of Pop, Queen of Pop kind of titles. Where does she compare?
I don't think that you can compare her to any of them. I think probably the closest you would get is Beyonce.
Right.
But I think the difference between Taylor Swift and all of those other stars, and I think even Beyonce, considering when she started in the sort of pop scene back with Destiny's Child, right? We didn't have social media. And Taylor Swift kind of starts as social media is kicking off. Like she's there in MySpace talking to fans right from the very beginning. And she's rolled through all the social media platforms. She joined TikTok last year. And that was a huge moment. They call it the Taylor spike on TikTok, where Taylor Swift joined TikTok and it just shoots through the roof with all of her fans. So I think because of social media, she's become bigger than any of them. And I sometimes would think, like, what would have happened to the Beatles if social media had been around at the time? It's not that fan clubs didn't exist. It's that you had to do that with a pen and paper. And now you can do it online.
One last question. Is there a dark side to the fandom and the adoration and the elevation of this pop icon for our children and maybe even for our broader society?
Well, I mean, I think if you're going to idolize anybody, she's not a bad person to idolize. She's generally a very good person. She has, she genuinely seems to care about the world and her fans as well. But I guess the dark side is with anything, if you engage uncritically. So if you just sort of like blindly love Taylor Swift and you don't question anything that she does and you just consume, that's a problem. So it really is, I think, if you're a parent of a child or if you are a Swiftie, you need to kind of sometimes take a step back and think maybe that wasn't the greatest thing that she did, without getting like overly obsessive about it. And I think the other thing to be wary of is just, don't go overboard when you're like defending your pop star. Like, we don't want people to be running into that realm of like trolling other people because they're not the kind of fan that you are, or trolling her exes because you think that they've done her wrong and sending death threats to people. Like, that is a dark side of that fandom. It's a dark side of a lot of fandoms these days. But I think that's the area that, I'm probably most concerned about.
Yeah, she is the number one news topic, the number one topic across Australia and probably even around the world at the moment. A couple more shows in Sydney before the weekend. And she is only human, but she's a pretty great role model, as you said, for young girls, positive force for good, doesn't carry on like so many of the other superstars that we've seen over the years and over the decades. I think she's a pretty great role model right now, and I'm stoked that my girls love her. Dr. Jennifer Beckett, such a delight to talk with you. Thanks for sharing the academic side of what's going on with the Taylor Swift effect around the country.
Thanks for having me.
Dr. Jennifer Beckett is a lecturer in media and communications at the University of Melbourne and convened the very first Australian Taylor Swift academic conference over the last couple of weeks. Really hope that if you're struggling like me, like my daughters, for having missed out on Taylor Swift, that the things that we're bringing you are helpful and inspiring and exciting, and just giving you a sense of how big this thing really is. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rule. I'm from Bridge Media. Craig Bruce is our executive producer. More information is available about making your family happier at the Taylor Swift TikTok site, apparently, or at happyfamilies.com.au.